What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Monsterarts Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire Godzilla 2024 Evolved version. So essentially, this is the form that, spoilers, I apologize if you haven't seen the movie, but this is the form that Godzilla takes on after he kills the other Titan known as Tiamat. And so he gains these purple spine, or the pink spines. He becomes essentially supercharged, and he has this new evolution form, and he's also a bit leaner, which is very interesting that they decided to make him a bit leaner rather than buffer. But I can see where they're coming from, especially because Tiamat was more or less like kind of like a sea dragon at the end of the day, and really cool design, by the way. So yeah, I hope they end up making Tiamat. Would be cool to see as SH Monsters. But regardless, let's take a look at the box. Taking a look at the box, you can see the very nice Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, the legendary logo down there, Toho, Godzilla 2024, Tamashii Nations Bandai, got the Bandai Namco logo up here as well, Monsterverse logo at the top there in the left corner as well. Got some more nice product shots here. You can see the name there, Godzilla 2024 Evolved version. You also see here on the side some more nice text. Looks really, really good. And then you can see the Monsterverse logo as well. And then here is your obligatory product shots. Now, from the pictures that they showed initially online of this figure, I was very interested in it, and I still am. It's just this figure, we'll talk about it when we get to it, but yeah, I do think that the box, as per usual, is really, really pretty. Usually SH Monsterarts, Bandai, and even Hasbro kills it with their boxes, and so without further ado, alrighty folks, here we have the SH Monsterarts Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire Godzilla Evolved version out of the box, and I gotta say, this guy looks really, really solid. He looks really cool. The main draw with this guy there's two things. One, he's a bit leaner than the other sculpt, and two, he has also got the pink spines instead of the blue or the regular, right, or the burning one that we got a little while ago as well. So this does look nice, but that's an issue we'll talk about here, and I don't understand exactly why, but taking a look at the details, you can see the head actually looks really, really nice. Eyes decently painted. You can see the pink for the teeth as well. When you open his mouth, you can't open it an insane amount, but you can see the nice tongue in there. It's kind of hard to see. It's hard to get his mouth open, actually, but you can see the tongue in there pretty decently well. It overall looks really, really nice, and then you go here through the spines. We'll go through the spines. They look really, really good. You have this nice fade from the gray into them. They really look nice in this color. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice contrast. I know a lot of people were like, Pink Godzilla, but I actually really like the design. And then coming down here, you can see it's really here. You can see sort of that more leaner figure in comparison to the other figures, I believe. And in addition to that, the one big improvement that they've made with this figure is the tail. Now I know that the tail just came apart there. But overall, when it comes to the tail, the issue I had with the previous releases of Godzilla is that his tail was very static. And a lot of SH Monsterarts tails, in particular Godzilla's, a good chunk of them were easily, you can twist them, turn them. Like the Final Wars one was really, really nice in terms of being able to turn it, to twist it, to bend it every which way. This one, although it's not at that same level as Final Wars, it's pretty damn close, and this keeps coming undone. There. Oh, come on. It's really coming undone. And this is one thing I'm gonna tell you about this figure that I'm also not the biggest, and there goes the hand again. I'm not the biggest fan of. Come on, let's plug this in. There we go. That I'm not the biggest fan of is there's QC with this, and it really kind of sucks. For some reason, my hand here just does not want to stay plugged in. Now the other, he comes with a pair of extra hands, and even the one on that side doesn't like to sit. I don't know what's wrong with this. It's really annoying me. But looking at the details, I mean, it still looks nice. The sculpt looks really, really good. You can see the little arm blades he gets. These are like kind of like the fins of Tiamat that he gets from essentially consuming Tiamat. And then yeah, you can see it here. This is where, again, all of that a sort of leanness comes from. You can really see it in the chest and in the waist and everything like that. It does give him more mobility, but it looks really nice, and then the claws look nice on his feet. Overall, he looks fantastic. It's just, I don't know what happened with my copy in particular. I wonder if you guys have had any issues with your copy. But yeah, this is the first time for me that the tail has done this much. But as you can see, the tail is certainly much more posable in compared to the, you just have to not push it past the limit too much. But it's certainly much more bendable and twistable in comparison to the previous legendary Godzilla SH Monsterarts releases, and that makes me very, very happy. So overall, when it comes to the details and the looks of this guy, I think he absolutely nails what we saw on screen. It's just unfortunate that some of the functionality, particularly now that I'm realizing it, I guess the tail for me, I didn't even have any of these issues while messing around with him off screen, as well as the hand on mine. I really don't know what's wrong with it, but yeah. So yeah, when it comes to the details and everything, I think it looks great. And so guys, we are going to be doing our comparison. So we're going to set this guy off to the side here. Now I do not have any of the legendary Godzilla figures on hand, so I apologize for that. But we'll do our usual comparisons and you guys can tell me what you feel. Here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Infernac Universe Magnius. As you can see, he's a bit taller than Magnius, a little bit, closer to like a Voyager-ish size Transformer. He fits at 6-inch scale, and so I'm happy about that. And then finally, folks, here he is with the SH Monsterarts Godzilla -1. Again, this is the easiest figure I have access to. It's right behind me, right behind where I'm filming. I can just grab it off the shelf very easily. When it comes to this Godzilla, you can see that there's very stark contrast between these two Godzilla designs, and definitely you can see that Godzilla on the right, the -1, is much more sort of faithful to the original Godzilla chunkier design, while this new one on the left still retains the main Godzilla formula, but takes a nice spin on it. And I think that the thin Godzilla here on the left for the new Empire one, I think does fit him. He still looks really bulky and everything like that, but it definitely helped to sort of streamline him a bit from being the sort of more lumbering like he was in the first couple of movies, right, that we saw him in. So overall, when it comes to the size, this guy is perfectly fine. Alrighty, folks, and time to get into the articulation. And because he's a bit thinner, he does have a bit more movement than, not a lot more, but a bit more movement than his previous release counterparts, because they were a little bit chubbier, right? So head is on a ball joint, so you have joints here at the base of the neck and everything like that. Then you have a couple extra ones, so you can get some wiggle waggle here. You can do twisting like this, and then the mouth opens and closes, but it's not the widest, but he does get some decent open and close. Arms will do a full 360. You have rotation here at the upper part of the thigh, the upper part of the the bicep. You have a little bit of a bend. It's not crazy though. And then your wrists are ball joints, so you can get all that movement that you would like. You do get a little bit of side to side here as well, because of the joints here. So you have a joint here, so you have a little bit of wiggle, but it's not crazy. Now the legs is where this guy has more mobility, so you can kick forward pretty far, you can kick back, not the farthest, but the knees are also on double joints, which is really interesting. You do have more bend here at the knee. You have a rotation as well, and so you can see right here, this is where you just get more movement out of this guy in comparison to the previous release. And then you have some ankle rocker pivot as well, so you got some really good stuff all around when it comes to the legs, surprisingly, for Godzilla. And then you can see all of the ball joints, so you can twist and bend this pretty decently. But like you saw earlier, I guess for some reason when I was pushing a little too past the limit, but this is way, way better than the previous releases. The previous releases, you could barely get it to do just this. You could barely get it to bend up like this or down, and even let alone just do this. This can go significantly farther than the previous releases, and that's really, really nice to see with this guy, especially, again, he's a sort of leaner, more toned Godzilla, so it makes sense that he's able to move a bit better than his previous, evolutionary forms, and I think that makes a lot of sense here. Alrighty guys, and the last section we're going to do is talking about the accessories, and this is where this guy also falters. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is always nice to get an extra pair of hands, and as you can see, it's very easy for this guy to remove this hand, and then you can do your best to plug this in. But again, just like I told you, for some reason, just like the previous one, like the previous hand, these hands do not like to, this hand in particular does not like to stay in to the ball joint, just the left side, and I don't know why. As you can see, they're more open hands. You can see this is the regular hand, and then this is the This is the replacement hand. It's not that significant of a change, but the fact that they added it is nice. But again, the one thing we are wanting is another flame effect part. Would have been nice to see the atomic breath part here, even if it was blue, not pink or anything like that. But would have been nice to see a pink one. At the end of the day, one of the previous releases did just release a atomic breath effect part. I wish that they would have done the same for this guy, would have added more. And given the price that this guy's at, it's one of those things where like you see Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, and then you see this guy, and they're around the same price after taxes and shipping. And you think that Elemental Hero Flame Wingman is just like a better package deal because you get the stand, you get the extra hands, you get the flame effect part, which is not just for Flame Wingman, but you can have that part, multi-purpose for other displays like Godzilla. And so it's a shame that for some reason these Godzilla releases, like, they keep getting gypped in my opinion, and I really hope that we get something soon. And the Godzilla 70th anniversary Burning Godzilla looks like it helps remedy that, and I know that they released like the 1964 version or 1954 version, the original Godzilla, with some new parts as well. Like, that's nice to see, but I just wish that the more sort of standard releases, not these like super special ones, for the anniversary ones. I wish that more of these sort of like over the counter releases, right, would get a bit more love in terms of just giving them a couple of extra parts, a couple of extra accessories would be nice for a figure that costs this much, and I hope you guys agree with me there. Well, if you disagree, I'd like to hear why. But at the end of the day, I think I'm not too far-fetched in wanting that, right? So, yeah, when it comes to the accessories, it's fine. It's just, again, I want another atomic breath part. It would be nice to see add to the value of this figure. Oh, real quick before we get into the end section here, as you can see, I was able to open his mouth like a little bit more. You just have to really pull, and that's something that I was scared to do because I don't want to break anything, and I already feel like that this hand is already, like, for some reason it's screwed up, and I don't know why. But yeah. And so, folks, for my final concluding thoughts in the SH Monsterarts Godzilla X Kong The New Empire Godzilla 2024 Evolved version, this guy is fine. He improves upon a bit of what the previous Godzilla Legendary releases for SH Monsters have done. He has a little bit better articulation. The detail, the sculpt, the paint, they're pretty much all the same. But the fact that he's a little bit leaner, he's a more toned Godzilla, means that he's able to move a bit better. In particular, the one part I love about this figure that improves over the previous releases is the fact that the tail is now much easily bendable in comparison to the previous ones. The previous ones were very not articulated in many ways. It's just like when you're comparing like the legendary releases to like a Final Wars release that they did, the tails are night and day. Like, it's just, I know that the Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Biollante was also very similar in the way that the tail really wasn't too posable, but at the end of the day, when you have something like the Final Wars Godzilla, it would be nice to have a much more posable tail for legendary as well, and finally we do have that here with this release. Another thing I also do really like about this figure is the fact that because of that, he can move around a bit better. Like, I know that we're talking about articulation anyway, but he does feel like he can move around a bit better just due to the fact that he is a bit leaner. And I do like the fact that his design, and it's translated pretty well here in the figure, despite him being more toned, he still does feel like big and burly and everything like that, but just a bit leaner, just to allow him to move quicker. And also, I really do like, I know I mentioned the paint, the sculpt, everything, but I do really like the pink contrasting with this essentially dark gray and black color of his skin. So that's really cool. However, this figure is not without its faults for me. What is with the QC on the tail? Like, I know that I was bending it a little bit past the breaking point, but I didn't expect it to all just fall apart. I mean, it was easy to reattach, but that's annoying. And the other thing for me is, what the hell is wrong with my hand? My left hand. For some reason, that ball joint just does not like plugging into the size peg holes that the hands have, and I don't know why. I don't know if there's any other fix for that, besides, maybe getting some door polish and just like putting that, I'm a door handle polish or whatever, and putting that on the ball joint, but I don't want it to be too thick. Like, the fact is that shouldn't happen, and that's my point there. So overall, when it comes to a score out of 10, I'm going to give this thing an 8.5, and I'm just giving it the extra half point because I do think that this improves upon it, but it's not, I don't think that this is propelled to a 9 all of a sudden because of that, especially because, guess what? The biggest gripe I have with this is the lack of accessories. Despite the fact that it comes with 2 extra hands, and that's really, really nice, I would like another atomic breath part, and I wish that more of these over-the-counter Godzilla releases would get more love in terms of those effect parts. And again, when you're taking this thing's price, you're comparing it to like Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, it's just Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, in my opinion, is still a better figure overall, just due to and a better package and a better value, because you get so much with it in comparison to something like this, which again around the same price, and you do not get nearly as much accessories as you would in comparison to the Flame Wingman, right, or similar figures. And so I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so leave a link in the description to that. I'll also see if I can find links to Amazon as well, so you guys can pick it up there and have fun doing that. And so, yeah, I think that's really it for the review. And so I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I will catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.